Hello, my name is Nate. Welcome to my art channel. Today I'm doing a flip cup. I'm up at the cottage. It's a cabin on a lake about 3 hours north of Toronto, and it's been so cold for the last 5 days that I haven't braved the tool shed much where I paint because it was 39 degrees the other night. And if you watch my channel, you know that I live in Costa Rica, and this was almost unbearable for me. But I did try to paint a little bit, and it was so cold, the paints just would not move. So I'm happy that it's going to get up to 70 degrees today. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. The sun is out at the dock, so I want to get this painting done. I need to paint, but I also want to go out and sit in the sun and soak it up like a lizard. I'm so excited to sit in the sun. So I'm going to do something simple today, and I'm going to do a flip cup. This is one of my favorite techniques. It's great for beginners. So let me walk you through what I've got here. So my colors, I have Liquitex Basics Cadmium Yellow Deep. This is Amsterdam Azo Orange, and this is Cadmium Red Medium Hue. This color is a mix of Liquitex Basics Red Oxide, which is a beautiful color, almost like a light caramel color. I love it. And I wanted a little bit of metallic shine in this painting, so I added in some Deco Art Ruby Red, and it's made a beautiful metallic, like raw sienna color. I love it. Or burnt sienna color. I love it. So this one is a mix of the cadmium red medium hue and a little bit of Amsterdam lamp black. Black is a very powerful color when you're blending it into other colors. You don't need much. So I used about an ounce of the red and maybe 1/10 of an ounce of the black, and it gave me this really rich red-brown color. I'm very excited about it. And then this color is Artist Loft Soft Body White. And I'll use this to show you the consistency that I'm using. It is a very thick consistency. It leaves a mound on a mound when it's drizzled off of the stir stick. All of my consistencies are the same. And I'm going to layer this cup with these colors one at a time, stacking them on top of each other. And then I'm going to flip the cup upside down and wait for a minute for the paints to settle, and then remove this cup and let the paints flow out. I will probably use the lip of my cup to draw in a couple of designs, just to add some motion and bring up some of the colors from underneath, and then I will tilt it out. I do have my canvas up on some push pins, and I'll show that to you too. I have the push pins here on basically near the corners. I don't like to put them directly in the corner. First off, if you're using a staple back canvas like this, the staple gets in the way, so it does the push pin doesn't sit flat. It also weakens, this is where the two pieces of wood joins, and it weakens that joint. And so your canvas can warp later. So it doesn't matter whether you wear along the edges, as long as it's near the corner and you get one near each corner, it should be level. Also, my canvas is very tight. If it didn't sound like a drum like this, I would just squirt a little bit of water on the back side of the canvas, rub it around, and it immediately tightens up the pores in the canvas. It is very important when you're doing any fluid art technique that your table and your canvas are level, or as level as possible. So I've done that work ahead of time. Also, the tool shed that I'm painting in right now is the floors are very uneven. There's a noticeable slant. So I've had to put some shims underneath the legs of the table. I think I've got it all working correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and layer my cup with these colors. I'm going to start, part of the magic of this kind of technique is that using the different paint densities will give you different effects. Titanium white is the densest paint, meaning that the molecules are very tightly bound together, and the weight of the paint is greater. So this paint wants to sink, especially when it's in a fluid consistency like this. It wants to sink through some of the lighter colors, like this red is a very light color. So this wants to rise to the top and this wants to sink to the bottom, and that will help create some cells. Also using metallics, like I've added to this color, the metallic is created by mica flakes, and it also wants to float up to the top. Mica flakes are very, very light in density. So I'm really excited about these fall colors. So let's get started and see what's going to happen. So I'm going to add in a little bit of the white paint on the bottom, just enough to completely cover the bottom of the cup. And then I'm going to layer alternating by contrast. So this is the lightest color is the white, so I'm going to add the darkest color directly on top of it. And I'm just going to add in that amount of paint. I'm not going to worry about the drizzle because I'm about to cover this in paint anyway. So now on top of that, I want to add another light color. So I'm going to use this yellow. And on top of that, I'm going to add the red. Because these paints are fluid, there will be some blending. So I might end up with some extra orange because the yellow and the red will blend a bit. I'm going to go ahead and add in this red oxide and metallic color, and then I'm going to put the orange on top of that. And then on top of the yellow, I'll put the white again. And now we can mix up our order a bit. I'm going to put this on top of the white because the white and that metallic might create cells, especially if they're layered together. So now I've got that metallic. I'm going to put the yellow next to that one also for the strong contrast. And we'll go with the orange again. And the red. And I'm going to finish off with this darkest color. So I'm not going all the way up to the top because I want these paints to flow down. If I fill it all the way to the top, there's no room for the paint to move. So there's two ways to do a flip cup. You can tuck your elbow to your rib cage, hold the cup with one finger underneath, and gently but firmly hold on to the sides, and then I just count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and then flip it over. But if you're afraid of the mess, you can also take your canvas like this, hold on, put the canvas directly on top of the cup, hold on to where the cup is from the other side, and flip it over like this. Much less likely to make a mess, but I'm not afraid of a little bit of mess. Let me get some of these paints out of the way so I have more room to work. Almost dropped that one. That would have been a disaster. Speaking of messes. Okay, so this cup has sat for a little while. I'm just going to give it I call these little magic taps to encourage that paint that's on the bottom to sink down a little bit. And then we're just going to pull this cup sideways and allow the paint to flow out. So 1, 2, 3, out. And then I'm going to run my cup through it and create some motion. I don't want to waste any paint, so I'm going to let that sit and drain out a little bit more on the corner. Letting these paints sit for a moment allows the densities to interact with each other for some of those colors to sink and some of the colors to rise. So don't tilt this right away. We don't want this to move too much, but this is a good opportunity to pop some air bubbles. I will probably torch a couple of times. If you don't have a torch, it's not a big deal. But if you do have one, just using the heat of the torch pops the air bubbles. But we're not trying to heat up the paint at all. Oh, there's some beautiful things happening here. Really, really nice. I love this dark color with that red right next to it. Ooh, so pretty. And I can already see there's some transparency happening with this light red color floating on top of that more dense dark color. So it's going to give us some really great transparency. There's some beautiful natural cells coming up here and all throughout here. More of those should appear as we tilt it and stretch it. So I think that's probably enough over here. As I tilt this out, I'm going to lose all of this, but having that wet paint on the side is actually going to help the paint flow a little bit. This is a 12 by 16 inch canvas. I need about 12 ounces of paint, and I've used 14. So there should be, I don't need to put down a flow extender here. If you have some extra paint that you can put down here on the canvas, it does help the paints flow a little bit better, but I'm not going to do that today because I want to show you that it's possible to do without it. So the first thing I want to look at here before I start tilting, oh, you know what? I see that it is shifting down towards me a little bit. Maybe my table's not as level as I was hoping it was. That's okay. We'll work with it. The first thing I want to do is figure out which part I like best, because that's the part I will probably anchor to one of the corners. I really like this motion here, but it is going just corner to corner like this. So if I anchor these two pieces over here and then tilt toward the other corners, that shape will change. It won't just be straight lines. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this over here and anchor these two lines somewhere close to this corner here. And then we'll just play around. Okay, so let's go just find the weight of the paint. And by weight of the paint, I mean where the paint is moving the fastest. So I can see that the weight of the paint really is right here right now. So I'm just going to walk it slowly down towards that corner. You'll notice that as the paint moves, the surface tension pulls the paint from the top and it rolls over itself. So having a base coat or a flow extender, we call it, another layer of paint around here, helps these colors float over top of the other paint. Something has to stick to the paint or to the canvas. So these paints will roll over and I'll lose a lot of this design. I'm really mostly working with this because I don't have a flow extender down. Okay, so that was good. So now we bring the weight of our paint back to the middle. You can see that it's moving the fastest right here right now, so that's a good spot. Because I don't want straight lines, you'll notice that this part in the back here, I said anchor it. As soon as it goes over the side, that paint won't shift anywhere on this canvas. But all of this, I can move it anywhere I want to. But once it's on the side, it's anchored in that spot. So if I were to go directly to this corner, it would anchor these lines here also, and I would just have straight lines going across. I don't want that. So I'm going to go this direction and create a little bit of curve in those lines. And some more interesting motion. And I'm just tilting the canvas back side to side a little bit. I'm not going straight to that corner. I'm just watching it move. There we go. It's good, important to get completely over that corner. Now, as I tilt this paint back again, this corner is going to get like a horseshoe shape because of that line right there. And sometimes I really like that. I think, especially today, I think I'm going to like that. So we bring the weight of our paint back to the center again. And then we make our next choice. Oh yeah, that's going to be really pretty. Okay, so I think I do want to go directly down to that corner. So again, I'm just going to kind of tilt the canvas back and forth and kind of walk the paint down. Those cells are opening up beautifully. They're getting a little misshapen, but that's okay. That's all the paint that was in the drain of the cup, that last little bit. So now that we've come down to that corner, we're going to come back to the center. Bring the weight of our paint back. Till we get back to the middle. And then we'll cover our last corner. A lot of blending. This is a very brown painting. But there's some good pops of the other colors too, so that's all right. This is part of the fun of fluid art, is you make your plan and then you let the paints do what it is they do. So there's a certain amount of freedom that you have to be willing to accept with this form of art. I want to keep that dark corner. I love that. Excuse me. And then, again, I'm just going to come back and bring the weight of the paint back to the center and stretch out this dark corner a bit. I still have enough paint here that I can make some decisions. I think this is the least interesting part of this painting, so I'm going to take the weight of the paint back down to that side and see if we can get rid of some of the part that I'm not excited about. And maybe create a little more motion in that line, just by watching where the paint is flowing and using that motion, that surface tension to move the paint. And then every time you go over the edge, bring the weight back towards the center so your paints don't continue flowing over that edge. There we go. I think that's really interesting. I love it. Okay, let me clean up my hands and then I'll take you in for a close-up. So here we have the wet results of my fall color palette flip cup. I love these colors. I love the way these lines stretched out around the corners. I love that this doesn't go just corner to corner. It has some motion to it. Very organic. These cells stretched out in really fun and funky ways. They look like pebbles or boulders or something. Look at that one right there. Looks like a little ghost. Or like the screaming head. The scream. Oh, so pretty. The yellow right there is gorgeous. You can kind of see, with the transparency, you can see the layers underneath also, which is always fascinating to me. Almost speckled there. I've got some cells of that metallic coming through. And I love that dark corner. Ooh, isn't that section right there beautiful? I love it. That vibrant orange, you can see the red, you can see all the colors together right there. That's really nice. This section up here is really nice too. Yeah, I got some fun cells in this and I'm really happy. I hope you enjoyed this too. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and do all those YouTube-y things. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and go mix up some paints and be fearless.